And we're live. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon for the US. Good evening, UK. Hope everyone's well. And how are you doing, Lois?
I'm doing absolutely fine. I hope everybody's well, and it's nice to meet Kerry.
Yeah, tonight we have Kerry Greenaway as special guest. So experienced with her radio shows and everything, all about paranormal. So, yeah, it's going to be a great conversation tonight. So, as ever, if anyone has any questions for Kerry, please add them to the chat. And we hope you enjoy the show. So, Kerry, where did it all start for you then? When was your first realization that there's something around us or spiritual ghosts or whatever?
I've kind of always had experiences from when I was little. When I was 3, we lived in a house in Southend, and my sister wouldn't sleep in the bedroom. So what Mum and Dad did was they swapped us over. That's what you do with kids, right? You swap them over. So if the little one has a problem, and I would always talk about a man in my room, but it never freaked me out like it did my sister. So I was always sort of having experiences. That obviously I don't remember that. That's what my parents have told me. So, but all the way through my life, I've always had like weird experiences or weird occurrences that happened. You know, just like stuff. You know, you can't even put your foot on it really, or your finger on it. It's just like you go, oh, you know, weird things would happen. I'd dream of something and it would happen, or the same numbers would reoccur throughout my life. Number 4, if anybody's interested. Yeah, that was always a number that would come up. Even places where I live and stuff like that, it was always number 4. Funny enough, this house isn't number 4 now. This is a number 2, but it's still a derivative of 4, right? Okay. So we'll go with that.
Wow.
So all sorts of things, and I've always had that interest there. So I've always, even as a child, I was reading books on spiritual stuff or on paranormal hauntings and stuff like that. So, you know, and I think the first ghost story that really caught my imagination was the Brown Lady of Rainham Hall.
Right, yeah. The famous photo, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I read about that in like a Piccolo book of all things, which is like a child's book, Piccolo book of ghost stories written by Aidan, somebody or other. I can't remember now. But yeah, so I've always had that interest, that passion. And then obviously as I got older into my teens, there were magazines out there called Paranormal and Encounters and stuff like that. So I would be subscribed to them rather than the Beano or, you know, Jackie, like some other kids my age was like subscribing to. But I had those.
I was on Jackie, I was.
So I was reading all that sort of stuff. And then sort of like life and clubbing and going out and, you know, took over quite a bit. And then when I sort of like hit my mid-20s, I said I want a tarot deck, and a friend bought me a tarot deck for my birthday. And then I started learning the craft and getting into it and stuff like that. And then that led me into crystals. Brilliant. Which I loved anyway. I always had a huge collection of crystals, but then I started learning more about them. And then I hit a point in my life where I was bored. I was a single mum, bored out of my head. Had 3 normal muggle jobs, I call them, normal everyday jobs, but I still needed more. But I needed to fit around the kids without having to pay childcare costs and stuff like that. And this is quite a funny little story. It gives you an idea of how my life goes. I'd taken the kids to the Natural History Museum, right? Well, on a day out. And my son would never sleep. Anyway, he came downstairs one evening. There was nothing suitable on the television to watch on that particular evening. So I was like, right, okay, let's get on the computer. Let's have a look at Pretty Rocks. And the first thing that came up was actually a crystal wholesalers. And he was the one that actually said to me, have a look. So I was like, right, okay. Well, okay, then we'll have a little look. So I was, you know, signed in and all that. And so I was thinking, oh, this isn't too bad. And the minimum order wasn't out. It wasn't out of my reach, but at the time I didn't have any money. So I was like, well, can't afford to. But it's food for thought.
Yeah.
Well, the next day I went round a friend's house. They went to their dad's and I went to a friend's house. And she'd been to a metaphysical shop and she bought some angel cards. Yeah. And a pendulum and a few crystals. And we were playing around with those. And she said, just pull 3 cards, as you do, just pull 3 cards, see what comes up. And the first card that came up was crystals. The second card that came up was way forward. And the third card that came up was go for it. And I was like, okay. Now, bearing in mind, she didn't know what had happened the night before with the wholesaler thing. So I was like, that's weird.
That's brilliant.
And I said, well, it's all well and good them telling me this, but I haven't got any money.
Yeah.
The next day, and this is exactly how it happened in 3 days, 6 days. The next day, I got a check through the post from electricity company, of all people. There'd been a big court case, and all the electricity companies had to like refund a certain amount of money to people because they'd overcharged them. It was the exact amount I needed for a minimum order.
Oh my God.
That's totally crazy, isn't it?
And that, I swear to you, that's a true story.
And it can't be more obvious as to what your path's going to be.
That was a big slap.
It's there,
that was
isn't it?
Yeah, it was a big
You've got these cards. This is telling you, oh, here's some money. No excuse now. I love it. That's brilliant.
Yeah. And then,
but do you believe in that though, Kerry, that, everything comes into your path for a reason?
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. Too many times that's happened. Whatever you want to call that, whether that's fate, whether that's chance, whether that's just coincidence, whatever you want to call it, it happens in such a weird way that you can't deny that that's what it's something is at play, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I do have a very spiritual belief system. Although, I mean, if you listen to the radio, sometimes I come across as very cynical in regards to like the paranormal and stuff like that, because I like to have a balanced view. Even with the crystals and stuff like that, I like to have a balanced view. And at one point that put me in a lot of conflict between my belief systems. And I had to work through that. But now it's sort of come full circle. But yeah, I think things happen for a reason. And, things are pathways that you go down and for a reason. And yeah, totally believe that.
I've had similar where basically I was given notice to leave house. So I had nowhere to live. I was losing my job at the end of the week. Then on the Monday, I was at lunchtime, I was offered to run a pub, which was somewhere to live and a job.
Yeah.
So I quit the office job at lunch, which was going to end anyway, and went on to run a pub for 2 days, which was 9 months.
Yeah.
It's just what happens, isn't it?
It's just strange how it happens. Yeah. Providence. Well, there are lots of titles you can put on that, but it works. It seems to work out. And
yeah, definitely.
I like that about life. I like my life's always changed on a flip of a coin. I've said, you never know what's going to happen next, but I quite like that adventure. And it's not always good stuff that happens, because obviously you get ebbs and flows and ups and downs in life. But even the bad stuff teaches you stuff about yourself and about your resilience and your strength and your courage. And, you learn so much through the bad times as much as you learn through the good times.
Definitely, yeah, because I had a right shock in I don't know how many years, and still kind of fighting from that. But because she had that background, because I struggled to eat basically and things like that, it just changes your whole perspective on things, doesn't it? And
you don't take stuff for granted as much,
no,
I think, when you've had a hard time. And you've worked really hard. And then I think the next time something gets thrown at you, you almost draw from that strength that you got through that time. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And you can move on, and it's an ever evolving situation. I think that was one of the biggest lessons I've ever learned in life, is that nothing ever stays the same. No matter how bad it gets, it's always evolving, always changing. And you are, to a degree, in control of that. It's up to you how you react and how you deal with that circumstance and the cards that are dealt you, basically. I mean, I had the choice. I could have spent that £70 on, I don't know, kids' shoes that the kids needed at that time, or take the leap of faith and go for the crystals. I went for the crystals, and long term, that's proved a lot more providential to me than ever, because that led me into podcasting. The crystals led me into podcasting, so that's into the paranormal world more. So now I cross both fields, and I've learned so much information about just everything. I mean, when people talk about the paranormal, I think they think it's just ghosts and spirits. It's not. It's psychology, it's physiology, it's physics, it's
Probability I use.
so much stuff
Yeah.
you learn along the way.
And
that
it's
you
not just
wouldn't.
that as well. You're also hearing people's stories, and you know, I hate it. I'm getting to hate the terminology, and I'm sorry if this offends a lot of people, but I'm getting to hate the terminology spirits and ghosts, because see, at the end of the day, these were people as well, and they had stories to tell. So
Yeah, that's
I
right.
still see them as human beings. Okay, they're in the other realm, or
Yeah.
the other parallel universe, or whatever what I refer it to as. But I still see them as people, because at the end of the day, that's what they were.
Yeah, exactly. And they're going to be good, bad, indifferent. Do you know what I mean? They're
They're
going
not all
to be
demonic.
no
Don't
more.
they?
Exactly,
Mad, isn't it?
exactly. You know, you walk into a pub and there's a plethora of characters and life stories and personalities in that pub, and that's exactly the same. You're not going to get nice people. You're not going to get nasty people. You could get a whole range of people with a whole lot of motivations as well. You might get a really angry spirit coming through to you. Why is that person angry? It's not just going to be angry for no reason. There is a motivation behind anger, but behind the emotion, and there's a story there. Just like you would if someone was really angry, you didn't know information, you say, tell me about it. Start at the beginning, calm it down, talk to me about it. What can we do about this? That's how you would deal with an actual person, right?
That's right, yeah.
Why wouldn't you do that with somebody who's passed over?
I had an encounter at Haunted Antiques, and there's this, he wasn't happy, and everyone was going, oh, he's evil, but I got speaking to him, and he's just frustrated because I think he'd lost a limb or something, and he's frustrated in life. And it's just more the frustrated coming through, and people like taking him wrongly, or him mentioning the story, or not really getting it out there properly. And yeah, as soon as you can see him for who he was, it's brilliant.
And
sorry, Lois.
No, on you go.
I think the problem is the communication part, isn't it? It's bridging the gap between like the spiritual and the physical. So it must be very frustrating if you're trying to talk to somebody and they're not hearing you properly and interpreting what you say properly. And it's that's a skill which, not many of us have got, to be fair. Not really. And it depends on how strong that connection is. And so it must be frustrating. I would be frustrated if I was talking and everybody was going, what you talking about? Not once for yes, twice for no.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? You're like, for God's sakes.
That's mad, isn't it?
I must admit that, I always joke about this, right? I always say, heaven forbid, right, if I ever passed over, right, and I had some investigator coming to try and talk to me, I would just be the most mischievous one that they've ever dealt with. But it would just be pure out of nonsense, like putting up their equipment and turning everything upside down and things like that. That would just be my sense of humour. And I always joke with the guys and say, right, we need a code word, so it's it's definitely me that's saying it.
Totally. I just said, like, in about 20 years' time, or maybe longer than that, actually, there's going to be like a whole plethora of us paranormal investigators that have been into it for the last, like, God knows how long, since the explosion happened in the paranormal field.
Yeah.
We're all going to pass over at some point. And we're all going to come back and be haunting the most going, oh, it's true, we're here. I did that investigation back in, 2013. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be hysterical.
Yeah.
Do you know, see, whilst they're trying to debunk and trying to prove, the spirit world, I'll be sitting there going, you're doing that wrong. What do you mean? What do you mean I look like this? This is not what I look like. I'll just be that, and I'm a great believer. See, when I get into a location, I always introduce myself. I just think it's politeness. And I think, see, if somebody came in and just wanted me to be like a show monkey, I would be picking up the water if they had any water and be chucking at them. What do you say?
It's going to be fun. Is all I can say.
Oh yeah, please make this K2 flash. Wow, do it again. Oh, are you sure it's not my phone turning it on?
No, I just type a message on your phone. It's fine. I don't need a K2 meter.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? A quick shout out to AJ Walker, Nigel Porter, Alan Smith. Thanks for watching, everyone. Samantha Humble, Sandra Gregory Hatton. Thanks, everyone. So, what did your family think of all this then? Did they actually pick things up themselves?
No, I come from a very, very normal background. I say normal. Yeah, very sensible, rational background. Yeah, very dismissive to a point. I mean, now they're a little bit more. They'll tell me if they have experiences.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Now, whereas like when I first got into it, it's like, oh God, it's another one of her madcap ideas. Do you know what I mean? The same as the crystals. It was like, oh my God, really? She's spending money on these rocks. What is she doing? And, you know, she doesn't need to do this. She's got to get a proper job, you know, and stuff like that. But I think they're used to my weird ways now.
Oh, that's amazing.
But they're great. They are great.
Oh, that's it. You know, it is a strange hobby, isn't it? Like, my friends just find it totally weird, but they're sort of getting used to the idea now. So, quick shout out to Von Hire. And yeah, I just love it there. I love the people you meet and the people you connect with.
Yeah, it's connection at the end of the day, whether or not it's spirit connection or human connection. It's you know, connection, and that's so important.
Yeah,
and that's a lesson we've all learned recently, isn't it? Through lockdown.
Well, that's right. And that's kind of why I started doing these podcasts, really, because I'm stuck in the house on my own. And this is a chance to actually speak to people. But also, like, if people have questions, they can join in and, you know, have a chat as well. Hi, Sue Connor. Thanks for joining us. But it's all just wonderful, isn't it?
I love it. I think the connection is incredibly important, not just in life, but, you know, like the human factor of needing to connect is something that's unique.
Definitely.
And although it's great to connect through, you know, the spectrum of the internet and, you know, like that, we learned through lockdown that we need physical human connection as much as anything else. We needed other people in our lives. And this serves a great service. It certainly served a huge service to us all through lockdown, because we were still able to have some form of connection. But actually being in a room with another person and doing something you love, there is nothing like it, is there?
Yeah, we appreciate it more now, don't we?
Oh yeah. And
totally. I think also we appreciate more of the outdoors. I mean, we've taken a lot. I suppose if we look at humanity, we've taken a lot for granted. We've taken a lot, say, like going out and being able to do our shopping, going out for a walk, you know. And I'm going to sound cynical, but like going for like a walk down the beach and things like that, we've all taken that for like total granted. And then when COVID hit and we weren't even allowed to do things like that, it was like, I found it myself, like I said to myself, oh my God, I'm like, you don't, it's almost like, it's like, wow. I mean, I walked through Glasgow Central. I mean, the first lockdown was really, really scary for me, because it was like walking through Glasgow Central. Now, Glasgow is a big city. And walking through there, it was like almost, have you ever seen the film 28 Days Later? Or 28 Days Later? That's almost what Glasgow was like. 8 o'clock at night. And I'm like, oh my God, going up the train station in Glasgow Central, not a soul in sight, hardly any workers or nothing. And that for me, I was like, oh my God, I would love to go back, just even try and hustle and bustle through people to try and get to my train. It was, we do take a lot of things for granted.
Yeah, today I work in Nottingham and I've only seen it about twice, 3 times since. It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, you see it every day.
But we seem to be coming out of those crazy times now. So it's good to be back out and seeing people in a much more normal way now. So, even last year, it's starting to feel a lot more normal. So fingers crossed, we've lived through a pandemic.
Yeah.
And I bet you when we do go back to normal and everybody's a hustle bustle, everybody will be saying, "Oh my God, why not lockdown again?"
Yeah. Could do with 3 months in the house just to get it straight.
That's it, isn't it?
I haven't
weird
finished writing my
concept.
book yet.
It's like us Scottish people. We complain it's too cold, and then we complain when we've got absolutely warm weather. Just never happy.
Oh, but that's here as well.
I was
It's
gonna
just
say,
natural, isn't it? We're always moaning about too hot, too cold, too much snow, or snow, rain. Yeah, you gotta see. It's our sort of culture, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What else do we talk about apart from weather in this country? It's bad, isn't it?
Yeah, we do talk about that a lot.
I don't know what you do in the US, but yeah, well, we're known, aren't we? We're known for speaking about weather. But the thing is, in the US, they've actually got better weather than us. They've got like really fascinating weather, haven't they?
I know it's like
I don't think I'd want to be in America.
I want to go tornado chasing.
That's what you want to do.
Yay!
Yep, I'm totally there. I mean, I can imagine just standing in America talking to someone instead of saying, "It's lovely and sunny." I had a tornado fly by.
I've actually had one go by my house once. That's cool. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it travelled a mile. It started off in the churchyard just across the road. It went back. I had my friend in. I was going on holiday, and my friend was in my house, and we were just chatting, and it's like my house was in a car wash. So that really loud sound against the window. It's like a car wash went by my house. I thought, what the hell's going on? So you look outside, and I saw this tree like being sucked into the air. All these leaves. It's like, what? And then across the road, they had like a whole complete 8 fence panels just sucked into nowhere. And it carried on for about a mile. So for me, it was just a bit windy and wet. But, it did do some damage. But yeah, it's so cool. And I actually got footage of it as well. So yeah. And I actually got on World's Wildest Weather or something. Or Britain's Wildest Weather from that year. So yay, that's impressive.
Well.
I know. Awesome, isn't it?
I live in a very sheltered part of the UK.
I thought I did, to be fair. I'm not near the coast or anything. I'm in the Midlands. So, yeah. So, what's your favourite location then, Kerry?
I haven't got one.
You haven't?
Not really. No, I haven't. I'm not a huge. Right, this is the thing. I do a lot of talking. I don't do a lot of going out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
God, I watch you, Jacqueline. You're here, there, and everywhere, and you're doing so many amazing locations. And I'm thinking, I haven't really been out of Essex.
Oh, bless you. I felt that shattered though. Oh my gosh, like 3 a.m. Sunday morning. I thought, I can't do this anymore. I'm just too tired. And then yesterday was like virtually a write off. I was just that shattered. I'm tired again. I'm like, what am I going to do on Friday or Saturday?
See, I have been investigating, obviously.
Yeah, that's it.
But I'd prefer the day thing. I prefer going and visiting a location during the day. And I've had experiences just as a tourist, wandering around. I did Newstead Abbey, wandering around there. And as you go in and there's like a room where there's a monk supposed to be. So I just had 5 minutes in there, channeled in and thought, well, come on then, do something. Not do something, but, like connect. And yeah, he did. Felt really dizzy. Had to get out of there.
Oh, wow.
But, okay, so I haven't got like the KT meters and the mil meters and all that.
Yeah.
No. My kit, if I go out investigating, is crystals. I take crystals with me.
That's
and I
cool.
do crystal gridding and I do all that kind of work when I go out investigating, which, is very different from probably the perspective people have of me. They probably think I'm out every weekend investigating. But no, I mean, I've done like Harwich Redoubt and I've done Coalhouse Fort and I've done Sandwich Guildhall. And I'm trying to think, I've done, things like that. I've probably done others. I can't think of them off the top of my head. But
That's
Paul Rook is the one that drags me out.
Yeah.
He goes, we did Nettie's Head. We've done Rotham
It's a
Tower.
great place. Rougham, yeah.
Yeah, I've done
We know how
Rotham.
good Rougham is. What did you get there?
Oh, that is fascinating.
I want to go there.
First time we did that, I've done that a couple of times. The first time I did that, I could hear a drone. We were outside. I was outside with Mark Manley, and we were playing like some music just to see whether or not it would help. But I could hear a droning. I could hear an aeroplane. I was going, I can hear an aeroplane. It's going in the wrong direction. It's not where the runway was. I said, it's not. That's not where it's going. It's going that way. I'm very good at directions on investigations. I can feel which way it's coming, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I said, but there's not the runway there. The runway's over there, and I can't make sense of that. Why is it here? Anyway, afterwards, because Mark Manley at the time was the researcher on the team we were on, and he said, you're spot on. He said there was a plane that hit the runway wrong and crashed into a pub that's just over there.
Oh,
and then we got a voice of a Canadian airman. Well, that's what we assumed it was, a Canadian, definitely a Canadian, because he said he was Canadian. That was good. We heard footsteps above us when we were downstairs. We could hear footsteps upstairs. It was like, oh God. And then we did the telephone experiment. Have you heard of that one?
I've done it at Coventry Castle.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes.
We did that. We were in the hub room, and the phone was actually at the top of the Rotham Tower.
Yeah.
And you could hear a male voice over the top of my voice when I was talking, and he was talking while I was talking. And then you could hear movement in the room, like scraping of chairs and stuff. And we were like, what is that? We couldn't work out what that noise was. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? As in, like, is that just... It was weird. It was strange. But that's a really fascinating experiment to do.
Yeah, I've got footage. As long as you can, like, the other room is quiet. You know, there's a lot of outside sounds in some of the locations you go to, aren't there? So that always makes it awkward. But the thing was about Codner, you were in the middle of nowhere, just like Rougham, and as long as the rest of the team are away from there, you're fine, aren't you?
Was you there the night then that Viv and Paul were there doing that?
No, I missed it. Oh my God, that was so cool, because they were the first ones, weren't they?
Yeah, they're the ones that came up with
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I went... That was about the year it closed, wasn't it? They finally got it back, and then that was it. So I managed to get before it closed down. But yeah, and I was actually with an events company, and I actually recorded what was happening. So I've got footage on my phone, and you can clearly hear a voice, and you know, it's just wow.
It's a really interesting one. It is such an interesting experiment to do, and like, you know, the one that Viv and Paul did, we was looking back and we was trying to find out what film they could hear or what was on the television, and they found out what film it was. That's how clear it was.
Yeah.
And that was the amazing thing. And so they said, right, okay, so once they identified what film it was, they then went and checked to see if that was actually being broadcast at that time on any channel, and it wasn't, right? So then they sort of went, right, okay, so small chance, but is there an aeroplane that could have gone over that could have caused that? That's linked in or something? Yep, nothing on the flight path. So the more they researched that, the more weirder it got, because they were thinking there's got to be. I mean, Paul, I know, spent a long time talking to the phone manufacturers to see if there's any way that could have linked it, you know, any way at all that could have happened technically, if you know what I mean.
I've contacted phone manufacturers before about something,
Yeah, and the guy's going, do you normally get that sort of thing happen on your phone? And he went, no. And he said, why would it happen just on that particular occasion? He said, it's not happened since, it's not happened before. He said, then it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
So it's not got interference from somewhere. So, you know, the more they researched it, the weirder it got. It's a fascinating experiment to do, guys, out there. Yeah. Try it is my recommendation on that one. But like you say, Jacqueline, you do have to be really careful with your location, and it will pick up outside people walking past or cars or something. So be careful where you do it. But
you have got to make sure you know exactly where everyone in the building is, that they're away from that the noise won't travel from where you are, that there's no animals outside as well. You know, you've always got that if you're in the country.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Quick shout out then to Georgia Connolly, Annalise Swire, Julie Nicholas. Hope you're all right, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
If you've got any questions for Kerry, please add them to the live chat and we will ask them.
Kerry, do you have a dream place like you would love to go anywhere in the world to explore?
Oh gosh, I'd like to go to Pavelia.
Oh, lovely, yeah.
That, for some reason, I'd like to go there.
Yeah.
That I'd like to do. I would like to do, everyone says this one, the Tower of London. I mean, I've done it plenty of times during the day,
Yeah.
tourist, but I'd like to do that, but you're never going to get in there. I even looked
that's
into
right.
hiring it. Very expensive.
How much insurance do you have to get it?
It's very expensive. No,
Yeah.
I contacted them, and I contacted quite a few of the big locations in London because I wanted to hold a talk evening.
Yeah.
Dinner, dance, talk, kind of paranormal affair thing. And so I actually contacted them, and you can hire it, but you can only hire the like dining hall bit.
Okay.
That's the only bit you can go in. So I was like, well, could you go for a wander in the grounds sort of like of the evening? And they were like, no. I was like, oh,
what's the
going
point?
away then, yeah. Hampton Court Palace, they were actually not so strict about you know, outside in the gardens.
Yeah.
But you couldn't go inside the actual palace apart from the orangery where you would be. I thought, oh, great, that sounds fantastic. You know, I know a few people that can actually do ghost walks around there, you know, like John Connector James and people like that. They know stuff. That would be brilliant. And stuff, but the cost was just phenomenal because you had to use their suppliers, and their suppliers were not like McDonald's kind of suppliers. They were like top class. And oh God! So like working out the ticket was like, would you pay £500 for an evening? I don't think so.
Oh well.
Yeah, I give that one a miss.
Yeah,
but the food was nice, but you'd be hungry after, wouldn't you? You have to go to McDonald's after.
Exactly. So I looked at HMS Belfast. I looked at the Cutty Sark. I looked at the Magic Circle Club.
Wow, okay.
Looked there. So yeah, we did quite a lot of, you know, the Natural History Museum, but the costs are just phenomenal.
Yeah, that's it.
And obviously you don't want a mass group. You want a like intimate group. You know, 500 people, come this way, please. We're going to just do a K2 experiment. You know what I mean? It just ain't going to work. So it didn't work out.
I've been there when there's been like hundreds of people. It just went wrong. It's one of the first events just after Most Haunted. Richard Felix got Annesley Hall, and they didn't sell tickets, and like everyone arrived. And it was just so horrendous. So like we're in the cellar, you know, you took time with Richard, they split you into massive groups. You're in the cellar with Richard. I was doing like the first bit of glass divination, and you're really reaching your arm out trying to push through it. Yeah, okay. You can imagine, can't you? But yeah. But nobody realised in those days that it could be that popular, you know, and now it's really built up, hasn't it?
There's just so many amazing people in the field. You know, like we call it the field, but it's just like you just, that's actually the bit I like, the talking to people. You know what I mean? And I've interviewed some amazing people over, you know, God, how many years it's been since I've been podcasting. But, you know, it's great talking. And everyone's got a story. Like, going back to the beginning, everyone's got a story. Oh, I did this ghost hunt here and this happened and that happened. And, you know, the funny stories of just what happened with your teammates, you know, the laughs. You know, all of that is just brilliant. And, you know, there's very little now that upsets me in the field.
Yeah, that's it. You get used to that, don't you? Just walk on by.
Yeah,
that's right. But yeah, it is amazing. Like I went to see another team. I haven't seen them for a couple of years. So I joined up with them at the weekend. It's just lovely just to be with them again, you know, because you're chatting to people on Facebook. But to be in person with them again, to do a 3-way Estes method experiment was absolutely insane. And yeah, it went live. It was wicked. Apart from this revolting image I got, which was horrendous. Yeah, it's freaked me out a lot, but hey, I'll deal with that one. Basically, my hand turned into like a skeleton with like blue skin over it. The whole engulfed my body, basically. So that was it. I had to quit the Estes method because I just couldn't. I don't know what I was saying. Yeah, it's a bit freaky, that was. So I kind of stuck with it and thought, nope, sod this, I can't do it anymore. Because they actually said, can you show yourself? And, I couldn't hear a damn thing. And then all of a sudden I was seeing this. So whether this person had died and been left a while, and that's why I'd picked
Oh
up,
my god.
which is, a bit. Obviously I will follow it up with a venue to see, I have mentioned it to them, and in time it depends what somebody else picks up. And then you get the validation, which I love.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's when you get something on, you get something and then you can validate it.
Yeah. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I love going back to some locations, because you just feel like you've got unfinished business and you really want to follow up on that that business, when you've got that.
Yeah, totally.
I've got like 3 unfinished locations.
What are
Well,
your
actually, 3 haunted antiques that will always be dear to me. I just so much going on there. It really is. It's mad.
It actually sounds like a good place.
Sorry, as my son's just come down the stairs.
It's absolutely fine.
Matlock Pavilion where it first started for me, where basically I spoke to Ben Winfield, and I spoke to a lot of people because it freaked me out for like months, even a year, like what happened. So basically Ben Winfield thinks it's like partial possession, because basically a young child took control of my body to about there, and my head was trying to get my mouth to say, get it out of me, and I couldn't speak.
Oh my god.
And that freaked me out, and I didn't even believe in ghosts then. So all of a sudden it's like boom, it's like oops. So yeah, that kind of, but yeah, that was, and I may go there Friday. I've got I'll be going there soon anyway, so yeah.
That's really good.
And then Robin Hood, where my past life regression took me back to in 1200s, and I've had a few run-ins with a guy the spirit who resides there. So yeah, that's an ongoing story in all 3 places, though, really. Weird, isn't it?
It's weird how things come up, isn't it? How they, they challenge you.
Yeah.
And that isn't that what, again, whatever your belief system is, because, we don't know.
We don't know.
Until we pass over that threshold ourselves, we are not going to know what exactly is over the other side, or whether this is an externalization from this internal process, whether this is I don't know, picking information up from an ether that's out there, whatever that is, whether that's a real live and kicking spirit, or whether that's just information that our computer brain is collecting along the way through lots and lots of other things, we don't know. And that's the thing, until we cross over that threshold, we might go over and go, there's nothing there, that's it.
To be honest, Kerry, I'm hoping I pass over and there's a bar and a large drink with my name on it. Then that's what I'm hoping for.
I'll be at that bar.
But I'll tell you, Kerry, I'll have the first drink on you. Oh. Right? Do you know, then I think to myself, right, in all seriousness, we probably will. What happens if we do get there and there is nothing? Then it'll be like, what was all that? What was all the fuss over?
Yeah, whoops.
Oh no.
Wasted all my time talking to people that weren't there.
Then we'd come back and haunt it, wouldn't we? That's why they come back. There's nothing there, so they come back and haunt us.
Well, I don't know about you ladies, but I'll be going down below. My place down below is well heated.
Yeah.
Well, it's a question we'll all find out the answer to one day.
You know what I find fascinating about this? You get people who believe everything, so we won't really go there. And then you get people who have seen and they know. Then you get the skeptics who will not believe you. But I love it how we've got an insight into this extra world. We've seen enough to know something else than the day-to-day. We know that. And it's kind of smug. We've seen, and they just like, oh no, it don't exist. It's quite funny, isn't it?
I don't know. I do think you have to be critical minded when you're whatever you're doing, whether or not you know, even as a medium or as a sensitive or as an empath, you do have to have some form of skepticism there.
Oh,
and
definitely I do.
you can't, there's no point being an all-out believer, because that leads you down the road of being
Oops.
Oh Lord.
well, yeah.
Oh,
I wasn't going to say it, but being as you did,
Yeah,
you know,
you've got it.
that's the thing. I mean, when I started in the paranormal side of things, I didn't know any better. Do you know
No,
what I
you
mean? So
don't.
when I saw an orb or saw something, I was watching Most Haunted on the telly. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, they got an
Series
orb. It's a
Series
spirit.
1. It's exciting.
Exactly.
It
But you
captures
learn.
something. Yeah.
You learn and evolve, and you change because of that. You're that journey. But you must quest for that. There's no point getting into a set belief system. You've got to challenge your belief systems
Yeah.
and move forward through them, and
That's
you know,
right.
evolve and be prepared to change your belief system if you come up with the evidence that tells you that it's not what you thought it was.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the orb factor is the main example really of that.
Don't know, do we? Just really don't know.
That was
So,
researched by ASAP. That is a proven thing. You can see an evolution through camera and photography work in regards to it. Started off like they called them rods.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the early photographs and stuff. They called them rods. Yeah, things like that. Going through to what we have now, it's a proven phenomena. It's scientifically been looked at, and you have to look at it and go, okay, I accept that, because that's
right.
fact.
Science.
Now that's out there. So I don't disagree with being critical minded in regards. You can't get into this narrow blinkered viewpoint in the paranormal. You have to have a 360-degree periphery basically on the paranormal, because it's again ever learning, ever evolving, ever changing. There's no doubt that even the skeptics out there say they have things happen that they can't explain, but if they can explain it, they're gonna dismiss it. Do you know what I mean? I mean, some of the best conversations I've had have been hardcore skeptics, like Kev Kerr, fantastic. He is great. He loves to go out there and investigate, but he likes to do it in a very different way to what you'd see on the television.
That's great.
He's not an all-out believer. Rob Lee, fascinating guy, absolutely so interesting when you talk to him. He's so well researched and has actually gone on and learned and got a degree, I believe. He's now writing for, on quantum physics, because people kept quoting quantum physics, and he was like, what is this then? And that led him down this pathway, and now he's an actual journalist for quantum physics. It's just absolutely fascinating. You know, talk to Cal Cooper.
Oh my
an
gosh.
ostrich, as they say. Exactly. Talk to Cal
gosh.
Cooper. He's got degree. Yeah. Oh gosh, that man is just freaking amazing.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And dismisses a lot of the ghost hunts, because that's not how he would do it from his perspective.
Yeah, because things have to be like in a jar or something, don't they, with no external influence, even air or anything. So yeah.
But look at the research he's done and some of the work he's doing in regard to flotation tanks.
Oh wow, yeah.
They're not as hardcore as you know you think. They're there, they're experimenting, they're pushing it forward, they're trying to prove sci and dismiss what isn't, and see if there is something they can back it up with. And actually the SPR have been doing that for over 100 years now, and coming out with theories and trying to explain phenomena that we go out and try and experience. So, you know, being skeptical is not a bad thing, I don't think. I think majority of what we capture when we go out ghost hunting can be explained.
That's it.
To be fair. Right. But it's still great, the thrill of the chase, right?
Oh, it is, yeah.
It is. And it's, I mean, I was out with a team that I've got high respect for. And I was out with them with Paranormal Footprints, and I mean, me and this gentleman were talking, and he pulled out his EVP, and it's my absolute dream EVP. I nearly fell at his feet, and the Panasonic one, and see when I did an EVP, do you see, you listen to the responses come through it? I was like, oh my god, I could die and go to heaven right now.
And people have actually destroyed that as well. People have actually said that it's a useless piece of kit, and they got rid of it because it was useless
Mm.
because it would just make crackling sounds and people say it's words. No, you do get Class A EVPs on them.
You do.
Because I've heard them and have footage of it as well.
Do you
So,
not
yeah.
think, though, that some things work better for other people? I can't
Yes,
get EVPs
yeah.
for the life of me,
I can't.
right? For some weird reason, I cannot. I get nothing. Absolutely nada. Nothing.
Same here.
You know what
I
I
got
mean?
one and I deleted it. Shit. Can you believe it?
And yet, like, I see people like, I know, MJ Dixon, for example.
That's the one with the Class A.
Queen of
yeah.
EVP. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? She's
And
brilliant.
I've been
at it.
around
She seems
her,
to
my
get it.
God, you know, like if you're with MJ, you're going to get EVPs.
I can't get them at all.
Guide around her.
Mm.
And
But
I think whoever helps with your energy, who's around you, I think that's how that particular tool works. Now, my tool is a cat ball.
All right.
My dad likes it.
I must admit, when we're talking about being sceptical, I was very, very sceptical when it came to cat balls, and all I did was slag them and think they were hilarious, right? Until we obviously went out that night, and then I was
Yeah.
like, I actually really like these cat balls. I'm growing fun, yeah, you know. But I was
you
very,
pitch
very skeptical of cat balls. I was like, oh my God, who would bring a cat ball? And then I look at myself now and go, oh my God, look at that woman that used to be skeptical of them.
All tech, all of your tech, you really know what it's doing, you know, from the most advanced to a cat ball. You've got to know what's going to make it move, what's not going to make it move, you know, the pros and cons of your tech. You know, I'm not a tech person at all. I leave that to other people. You know, I've had blessings to be working with some like Carl Hutchinson, who knows tech inside out.
Oh, yeah, Carl.
Yeah, you know, he's absolutely phenomenal at that. And I just bow to his knowledge. I mean,
I had a debate with Carl over something. I've got a difference of opinion over something, but hey ho.
Well, I would bow to Carl Hutchinson, to be fair. I will not going to lie on that one when it comes to tech.
Well, he knows his stuff. Definitely.
He knows his stuff. I mean, he gets like the protocols, you know, like, not protocols, the prototypes. That's the word I'm searching for. Sent to him for him to try out and find all the false negatives and false positives and all that on them. He's the one that found that the iPhone creates like a little blue or red dot in certain photos. That everyone was going, oh my God, I've caught like a, you know, a blue dot.
But I do photography, so I kind of know that anyway.
Yeah,
you know,
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Because I just get annoyed and think, oh God, you know, I've got to sort of clone that out, ruin the picture, so I get on Photoshop and get rid of it. Because, it annoys me.
But that information is out there, and if you don't know, somebody out there will. So you just have to reach out. You know, I mean, the amount of times when I've been researching and I've just put a post out, this going back a few years on a project I was working on with Ashley Nibb. I just put a post out one night. I was looking for a builder who had information or knew the regulations, older regulations. This was on well building. You know, could you build over a well? Right.
Intriguing.
I had tried everywhere trying to find this information out. And then I put a call out, and the amount of people that helped, and I got the information I needed.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? Through people talking. And then I got the regulation I needed, and it led down that rabbit hole. It was brilliant. And so people out there do know. So if you've got something, put it out there. Got a question, ask. Do you know what I mean?
I think, Kerry, in all fairness, people are scared to ask, because I've been in some groups, and I'm not going to even mention group names. I've been in some groups, Kerry, that people do try and reach out. People do ask questions, and they get absolutely slaughtered. And I think it's absolutely appalling. And at the end of the day, some people need to remember we all begin from ground. We all don't come into it knowing everything, and I do highly encourage everyone who does have a question. You know what? Every question's not a stupid question.
No, if you don't know the answer, how can it be stupid?
That's right. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are more. I mean, I see it all the time in groups, like people asking questions and getting absolutely slaughtered. And then you do some questions. You do kind of look at because you do get trolls out there, like left, right,
Yeah, you
and
do.
centre. And you think sometimes the question is, I mean, the funniest one that I've ever seen, and it was a troll, was what do ghosts eat? You
Oh,
know,
no.
and it's like one of those ones, prime example. But you know, for people that are genuinely interested, it can be kind of off-putting, and I think like some of the group admins and mods should really look at their groups and say to themselves, you know what, these people really genuinely do want to learn, and try and get them and encourage, you know, to ask questions and things like that. But you just don't get that in the paranormal world.
No.
Admittedly, I have just booted somebody from the group because of the evidence they were putting on. And rather than rip them to bits, which I
But
decided
that's
to-
totally different, Jacqueline, for somebody asking a question and getting
yeah,
absolutely
they were
leathered.
saying we've got this amazing evidence, and they kept posting these photos of really poor photos. And I think I did try at one stage to see what is it, you know, and they weren't getting anybody commenting, luckily, on the group, because if it had turned into a bit of a show where people were like laying in, I would have, you know, sort of that as well. But it just didn't kind of work.
There is a great resource in front of you. It's called the internet. Do some research as well for yourself. There are great, you know, the SPR, great source of information. ASAP, great source of information. You don't even have to be part of these groups to actually access some of the information that's out there. You know, there has been so much written. Do your research. That's what we do every week when we're researching for a show. We're not asking anybody, actually. We're actually digging deep into the internet to see what we can find, or books that we've bought that are on our shelves, or talking to people. You know, if I know somebody who knows something about something, I am very lucky. I've been in the field a long time. I've interviewed a lot of people. So I do appreciate I'm probably in a much better position than some people. But buy the books, read, research, and then if you still can't find the answer, ask. And then at least you can say, well, I've tried this, I've tried that, I've tried this, I've tried that. It made me think of this. You know what I mean? But the paranormal field is about ever expansion of mind.
Yeah, definitely.
And you should be responsible for self within that. Exactly. Yeah, you should. There's no such thing as a stupid question if you don't know the answer, but you are responsible for trying to answer it for yourself.
Yes.
As well.
And you also need to listen to other people.
And take
if there is a scientific reason for it.
Exactly, yes.
And
this
is where the frustration kicks in, isn't it?
And
yes,
it's not just that either, guys. You know, when you are like answering a question and you're trying to guide somebody in the general direction, and then all of a sudden you get told that you're this, you're that, you're the next thing, and you're like, don't. My big thing to people would be, don't ask a question if you don't like the answer you're going to get.
Yeah.
Like everything, like as we're going back to the whole believers, like everything's paranormal, and it could be something so simple.
Yeah.
But then you're answering it, trying to explain to that person, not trying to embarrass them or make them look bad or anything, just explaining it in the most nicest the way. Look, it could be the fact that your light switch is blue, your bulb's blue, something so simple as that. And see the abuse you get. I've had that personally because I've like tried to guide somebody and say, have you tried this or is it this?
Yeah.
The same as what I would do in the field if I was in, say, a private investigation, you know, make sure that there's no wires that could be setting off the machines and anything like that. And you're trying to be nice and guide them, but the abuse you get, and I'm just like that.
It's actually better to ask those questions actually in face to face. If you was on a ghost hunt, you want to know about a piece of equipment, ask whilst you're there with the person who's got it. Do you know what I mean? Or, you know, if you, rather than putting up a piece of footage, which even the most compelling piece of footage can be ripped to shreds. Do you know what I mean? Because
definitely, yeah.
Because that's just how it is. unfortunately, or your photograph is going to be looked at going, it's fake or photoshopped or
But
whatever
you've
it
got
is.
to believe the storyteller as well, haven't you? You've got to believe
It's
the
a
person
balance,
taking the
isn't it?
photo and the video.
But it's about balance.
Yeah, that's right.
It's about it is. You've got to balance it. Are they wanting? I had a person send me a photograph. It was an old photo, but she was desperate to know it was her mum.
Oh,
Right
bless.
now, do I break that bubble
Mm.
and say, well, actually,
Just
I refer
yeah.
you to this document
Yeah.
from ASAP, which scientifically proves that this is a piece of dust or moisturizer, moisture in the air. Do I do that? Or do I go, if that's what you want to believe, my darling, that's your mum?
I was faced
Because
with that
that
the
gives
other
her
day.
comfort. Do you know what I mean? There's your
Yeah.
balance. What do you do?
Yeah, it was a hard one.
It's a difficult one.
It's one of the ones
I
that
said
you...
I didn't know because I
You-
don't know.
The way I just
100%.
say, if that's what you want to think, my darling,
Yeah.
then that's what it was. Because I'm not here to make believers not believe. I'm not here to change anybody's own personal belief systems. I'm here for me. I'm here for my belief systems and my personal journey
Yeah.
and my personal growth and my personal education. I'm not actually here for anybody else. No disrespect to anybody. If you've got a question, I will ask. I will answer the best I can. But I'm not going to try and convince you of something. It's not my job.
There's Robert. We're speaking to Robert later, so he's just checking out his phone.
That's going to be a show you guys shouldn't miss.
Speaking to Robert
I-
Riley about
I
Ted Bundy, which
I absolutely can't wait. I'm actually sitting here clock watching because I'm just so
Thanks.
excited.
oh,
Little offended, Lois.
Kerry,
Watching TikTok. Like, hurry up, get this one off. I want the next one on.
oh no.
listen, Kerry, it's been an absolute pleasure, darling, and I absolutely love you. Do you know? I must admit, right? Usually, and I will be really honest, and I'm really honest with all the guests, right? But usually, I'm quite nervous when I'm meeting new people, like interviewing new people. I quite am. But with you, it's just been like, it's like talking to myself. So it's like I'm more relaxed where I'm usually dead. It takes me about half an hour, maybe 40 minutes to calm my drawers. And then,
Oh, bless you.
and then she'll be like that. That's not what you said. You were clock watching, woman.
Oh, I've got Wayne here who says you can have 100% solid evidence. There'll always be people out there who'll put it down.
Totally.
And
I've
I've
investigated with Wayne, actually.
I have as well. And
a couple of times, yeah.
I was probably Rutland, was it?
No, that was Fort Redoubt. And then we
Right.
did, oh God, what was that other place called that we did? It was like a barn. What barn was that, Wayne? Can you remember what that was called? It was like a big barn full of stuff.
Right.
Can't remember what it was called. Oh, it'll come to me after the show or something. Can't remember what it was called. It's not very often. Hornchurch. Was that what it's called? Oh, it was a big barn full of stuff. Tithe barn. It was a tithe barn. That's what it was. Yeah, out that way. Yeah, we did that together as well. Like teams share.
Yeah.
And that was good. Thoroughly enjoyed.
Wayne got some great evidence because I met him at the Parafest in Skegness.
Yeah.
And I was there when he got a shadow within this summer house thing in the garden. And we all tried to debunk it. We can't. I took photos the next day because I actually stayed overnight. I was camping there. So I got photos and no, couldn't get it. In, whatever angle, different times of day. No. So, and it's things like that where you can't debunk it. And if someone says, oh, that's rubbish, well, you're lost, mate, isn't it? We try everything we can to try and debunk things.
You do. It's all subjective at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
you're the one who experienced it.
Yeah. Well, I just know that Wayne and Mark Manley were like, oh, look, we've got this.
Oh, I know, my lovely Mark.
We saw it straight away. I'm so happy to have met them guys.
Yeah,
so cool.
Mark's amazing. I like Mark.
They're both when they get together.
Oh, God.
Mad. Just avoid Wayne and Mark when they're together.
I'll tell you a funny story, right? I was doing a show, and I haven't told this publicly before now. Mark had come over for the day, and we'd had a bit of a tipple. And well, I say a bit of a tipple. I was rolling. He got me rolling drunk, and I had a show to do that night. And I was thinking, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this show. And it wasn't just like any old guest. This was like quite a good guest. I was rolling drunk, but I had a co-host. So I thought, great, co-host can lead and I can just drunken in the background. You know what I mean? And then my co-host come and goes, you're going to have to take the lead on this. He goes, I've got a thumping headache. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Anyway, I am dizzy. I'm sitting here trying to do this show. I'm drinking loads of water, trying to sober. Mark Manley is crying with laughter in the other room, where he's like, he knows I'm in the right state. How I pulled that off, I don't know. But even I listened back to it the following day thinking, that was shocking. I must have been slurring and everything. Boom. Drop the mic, walk out the door. I was amazing. I've done quite a few shows on the rough side of drunk, to be fair. Usually we used to do a show called the Paranormal Pop-Up Show on Parasearch Radio, and that was generally always when we'd all had a drink.
Okay. I've
Brilliant.
I did what Mark Manley's once. We did Lockdown Loonies, and then we did Mark Manley's show because he couldn't get on, so we nicked it. That's funny. I'd had quite a lot of gin by then as well.
Yeah, he owes me a bottle of Jack Daniels, that Mark Manley, I'll tell you.
No way. We've got Andy Thorne. Andy has been to Rotherham Redoubt. Very good venues with a lot of life left in them. Redoubt and had soldiers running across our side of the gates before they even entered. Oh, it sounds brilliant. It really does.
Yeah, Rotherham was good. Redoubt was good.
Yeah.
I've done that a few times actually.
Yeah, I'd like to sort of head down sort of that area in the Colchester area because, there are a lot of good locations. And obviously with Mark and Wayne always mentioning these like cool places, was Rendlesham Forest as well I want to go to.
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah, that was good.
Oh, wow. Did you see any aliens?
No, we came out. We took, there's a story there. I was with Paul Rook and Richard Clements, who I do the Paranormal Concept with, and Andy Mercer as well was there that night. And Andy's like, I know where it is. We're going to, anyway, 3 hours later around the forest, nearly killed poor old Paul Rook. Finally found East Gate, which was like literally 2 minutes from where we parked initially. So we'd walked the entire perimeter of the blinking forest before we found it. Rocky. And then we went to where the statue thing is of the alien craft and whatnot. And then as we came back, we came into the car park and I was with Paul, we'd left in the car, and I was with Andy and Richard. And a guy comes up to us. It must have looked really weird. One girl, two guys coming out of a forest, right? And a guy comes up to me and he goes, are you? And he asked me whether I was this person. And I was like, no, thinking, what is he thinking of me? Like this. Anyway, it turns out that this guy, he told us his name was John, and he was talking all about the conspiracy theories and what he'd witnessed there and all of this. We tried to get him on a show, but he just disappeared. But we stood talking to him for about 2 hours in the forest at Rendlesham, and it was absolutely fascinating what he was saying. And he knew all the players to do with the Rendlesham story, like the people that were involved in it now. He knew all of those who had common contacts with us. Do you know what I mean? It was absolutely brilliant. But he disappeared off the face of the earth. And it was like one of those weird things that we now go, like, even now we talk about it and go, that did happen, didn't it? We did actually talk to that bloke. And but yeah, it definitely happened. Andy was in contact with him afterwards. And he was going to come on a show and then disappeared.
Wow.
So that's what happened when we went to Rendlesham.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
And the only other weird thing, we were walking down from East Gate towards the car park, and there was a bloke behind us, like quite a far back, and I kept looking behind us. Couldn't see a dog or anything. It was just a single lone guy walking behind us. And I was saying to the guys, like, what's that behind us, and that who's that behind us? And every time I look back, this guy sort of like darted off the path into the. Now, when you walk down from Eastgate, you've got like there's a fence that runs there, so there's a bit of rough here, then the path, then you've got the actual forest there. And he wasn't going into the forest; he was going into like this rough.
Okay.
And then we'd walk a bit further, and he'd be like walking down again, and again, as soon as I looked round, and I was going to the guys, there's a really weird guy behind us. He's following us down, and they were going, no, he is. It's probably just a dog walker. And I swear to God, that was a little bit weird because he never came into the car park when we got to the car park or anything. Could have just been a dog walker. Could have just been a weirdo. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was a bit weird. But Rendlesham is good. We're going to go back there. We keep talking about wanting to go back there. So yeah. Rendlesham's back on the list.
Let's head that way.
Mm.
There's just so many places you want to go to, aren't there?
There are when you think about it. And you go, oh, where have you investigated at? Talking, I've done quite a bit more than when I first answered that question.
Yeah. That's it.
Yes, the rough is the end of the runway. Lots of strange folk there.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, wow.
Was a bit weird.
Yeah, it sounds it. Hi, Chloe Needham. Hi, Gary Fields. Thanks for watching. If anyone's got any questions for Kerry, then please add them to the chat. We did have a comment about paranormal, though. So if we look at it, if I can find it now. There's a question about paranormal and people sort of doing the entertainment side. You've got, I think the paranormal should be classified differently because you get entertainment and the paranormal investigating. Like so many people actually think that the entertainment side is real, don't they?
Yep.
Do they? If you're into it and you're investigating and that, do you actually think the entertainment is real? Or are you?
Don't. It's the people who are like just getting into it, isn't it?
But that's where we all started, majority of us, watching Most Haunted or Ghost Adventures or Taps, and then thinking, oh, that looks good. I'd like to go and get that. And then going out on a public investigation that leads you down a pathway. So no, I don't think it's detrimental. I think it's evolved. I think the entertainment side of it has evolved because of the way the internet has evolved. Social media has evolved. Do I think it's a bad thing? No, as long as you're fully aware of what it is you're watching. Do I, in the same way as I would tune in every, was it Thursday night or Tuesday night? It's Tuesday night, wasn't it? Most Haunted latest episode or a Most Haunted live. We're back in day when, before I'd been out investigating and gone down the pathway that I've gone. What do you want? It's two totally different fields. Should it be classified differently? Isn't it just by its nature?
Yeah.
If you want to know more, the information's out there. If you want the thrill of the chase, the scare factor, which is, what the public people want. Yeah. Which is why they watch these programs, which is why they go on public ghost hunts. This is, I'm sorry, but I just don't actually understand why people get their knickers in a twist so much about it. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Because if you've got that interest and you want to go out investigating, it doesn't take long before you start opening your eyes to seeing it's a bigger, broader field than that.
Yeah.
And that what you see on TV is not a true reflection of actually what actually happens on a ghost hunt or paranormal investigation. Then you take it to the step further of serious paranormal investigation, and that's a totally different ball game.
Oh God, I'm nowhere near that. That's how cool, isn't it?
I think also that I say this tongue in cheek. I think too many people join the paranormal because of the TV show, and that's what they expect because they've been watched it for that long. They expect too much, like they expect that's how it'll be every time, and then when they go out in the field, it's just one big disappointment because you could be sitting there for 5, 6, 7 hours and not get anything, and then they're looking at you as though, why is this not happening? And I didn't start off in the shows. I've never ever watched a ghost show. Well, apart from probably recently, I watched a lot of Enter the Unknown Paranormal, and and I've got respect for Dave and Chrissy. But I didn't start off in the ghost shows, but maybe I'm coming from a different angle. I had my own personal reasons why I wanted to do this. So you know, when people say about the shows, I mean, I've I've looked in and shows and only lasted like 2 minutes because it's though I just can't take to them. Like, see this, or the chair moved, and you know, oh god, this is happening, and all the melodramatic. I can't do it. It's just like I would rather go out in the field. I would rather sit and watch somebody doing lives, like a team doing lives. That's like, well, I say teams, certain teams, smaller teams that I would love to watch. You know, sit and I would love to sit and watch. And it drives me, ban me when people say they're coming in it because of the shows, because you just think, oh my god, no, do it for your own reasons, no because of your shows.
No, I think it's an opening. It's a doorway to learning. They soon become very disillusioned with the experience. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
But any team worth their salt will put it out there at the beginning of the night. This is not going to be what you see on a TV show.
Yeah, that's it.
Right?
Yeah.
This is what, this is not, can't guarantee a ghost, guys. Do you know what I mean? End of story. Any team worth their salt. I think the first ever investigation I did was with Fright Nights, Avenue House in London.
Fright Nights,
Fright Nights, Avenue House in London.
2004.
Yeah, mine was quite a few years ago.
No.
Far too many years ago. And it was bought for a special birthday. My friends took me because I loved Most Haunted. They took me out on my first ghost hunt for a special birthday. We all went, and it was like, yes, I'm going on a ghost hunt. Do you know what I mean? And the first thing they said is, we can't guarantee a ghost. We might not get anything. You become very quickly disillusioned of the TV show. But that didn't change how I felt. That didn't change the excitement of the evening. That didn't change the fact that I wanted to carry on learning on that journey. And it opened the door to me to the paranormal field, the broader spectrum paranormal field. And I know people from serious researchers, like, who document everything and do it all like how you should do it, to entertainment people.
Yeah.
And I think it's all part and parcel. It's the good with the bad. Just because you don't like it, don't mean to say that Joe Blogs down the street ain't enjoying it.
Oh yeah.
And why not? They watch Most Haunted, they watch Taps, they watch Ghost Adventures. There's nothing wrong with that. They watch a live stream from a clickbait group that are going out ghost hunting every single night. So what? If they're enjoying it, that's what they want to do. Let them get on with it. Does it bring the field into disrepute? No, fuck off, it doesn't. Excuse my language. Of course it doesn't.
Do you know, I've always been good and no drop to F-bomb, Kerry, but
sorry, I do apologise. I do apologise about that. But no, of course it doesn't. Do you know what I mean? They're minding their own business, doing their thing, playing to their audience. That's why they're in it. Just because that doesn't align with why you're in it or your code of ethics that are in it, it's got nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
It's not interfering with you or your journey.
There you go, be told.
Sorry, Andy. Soz.
Sorry if you're in the US with your afternoon tea.
Sorry, everybody.
Do you know you have somebody out there that will be like, "Hey, Kerry, what did you just say?"
I've done radio for how many years, and on your show I drop an F-bomb. Oh my god,
Kerry, can I honestly say that it's made me laugh, because there's a few times where I went and then went.
Sorry, I do apologise, because I would
cool.
never do that on my own show.
But you're feeling a wee bit rebellious tonight because you're outside your show.
Right. Free for the shackles of my boys.
That's been good.
Oh, Kerry, I think you're brilliant. I do.
Yeah,
your whole personality and your energy is just so funny. I think
Thank you.
this will be one that I'll never forget.
Not for the information I gave, but because I dropped an F-bomb.
Kerry, the whole interview's been brilliant. Honestly, I've loved
Hey, it's not finished
Pleasure.
yet. It's time for a few more.
Oh no, she's clock watching for the next one.
Kerry, you know it, darling. You know it. No.
So you do your crystals now. So
Yes, yeah, I do crystals.
you've got
as
a page, have you, where you do them?
Yeah, Spirit and Soul Island crystals. That's where I sell all my
Okay.
beautiful, pretty crystals. Yeah, love
Do
my
you do
crystals.
online? Do you do online sales with them, or?
Yeah, I only do online.
Yeah.
Literally, I do Facebook selling,
Yeah.
and it goes
Do you
really
do live
well.
Facebooks with them?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful! I have to watch that.
Yeah, do
Good,
lives.
good.
You know, got an album and I've got a shop on Facebook and I've got all that jazz. I don't really muck about with any of the others. I haven't got a website, but the information I have, I give out freely. Whilst I do the live, do you know what I mean? Because in case you hadn't noticed, I'm a bit of a talker, right?
You need to be if you're on the radio, though.
Yeah, you know. And but yeah, it's going really well. Yeah,
That's
I do very well, thank you. Yeah, it's good enough.
That's brilliant. You know, something where you're like thrown in that direction and you're just giving it all, aren't you? You know, with those 3 cards and then the money coming through. It's brilliant.
Yeah, but that is a passion. And it always was. I mean, that was always going on in the background, even alongside my paranormal journey, which is why I take crystals out into the field, because actually that's how I started investigating.
Wow.
Thank you, Angie.
I've only seen Dana Newkirk do that.
Yeah, I was doing it before she was.
Tarot cards. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
no,
yeah.
I was doing all of that before she sort of like brought it into the mainstream, as it were. And then it was
Wow.
just like, that's why when I first got into radio, I was actually interviewed because of that.
That's
On the
brilliant.
radio show, and he said, "Oh God, your voice is amazing." So, thanks. He said, "You make a great radio host." I was like, "Moi, little old moi." I said, "Yeah, but I don't know anything." And he went, "You'll learn." And that's where I started. And then he gave me a radio show with Kerry Carter from Equilibrium Paranormal. She does now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, remember me doing it in the barn. Yeah, and that's what I do, and I still do that when I go out in the field. When I work in the field, I'm purely spiritual. That's where I'm working.
Yeah.
I'm not tech. I do not own a piece of paranormal tech at all. I take crystals into the field, and that's
Well, how
what
does
I
it
do.
work? For people who don't use crystals in the field, how does it work? I've done a tiny bit of crystal work, so I don't know.
There are lots of different ways you can use crystals in the field, but one of the methods I use is something called crystal gridding, which is you set a geometrical pattern of crystals out with the intention. The intention is key because that is setting what you want the crystals to do. So in that particular instance, I'm setting the crystals to bridge the gap between spiritual, like the spirit, and the physical. So it makes an easier communication. So it opens up the wide that method of communication. Plus also it's an energy source.
Right, yes.
For spirit. So rather than going, use my energy, and then you end up with headaches and feeling sick and going, oh, I've got to go home because I feel crap. They've got a different energy source. Use the crystal's energy to help you. Do you know what I mean? And it's almost like, all right, you'd get a skeptic come on and go, well, there's no scientific proof of that. No, there isn't. But it's incredibly interesting when you're using those methods in the field because you get results. Now, as I said, I can't prove that. Scientifically, there's nothing to back it up with.
Though, can you really?
But
anything we do, you can't.
We did 2 investigations at Rotham. We did like back-to-back investigations. The first night we used crystals and I gridded the place to buggery. And then we had a great night, really fantastic, spirit or, stuff happening. And then we did another night just to see, because, just to see. Nothing at all. Just doing a good old-fashioned, and it was dead as a doornail. Now, did crystals do anything? Is subjective because obviously you can't prove it. It would have to be an ongoing research project.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And you get dead nights. Even
Yeah.
on the best of nights, you
Yeah,
get
of course you
quiet
can.
nights.
Yeah.
But it seemed weird that whenever we use crystals in the field in this way, we tend to get a really good night.
That's brilliant. So, Andy, you said never seen anyone use crystals. Do you use many?
Yeah, I've got a whole kit.
So you've got a case, just like everyone's got like their kit in a case. You've got a case of crystals. That's cool.
Yeah, and to be fair though, you would only need like a decent sized quartz or amethyst point to
Yeah.
use in that way. I mean, you can use pendulums, crystal pendulums. You can
I
use
do that. I did that at one stage.
black obsidian scrying glass. I mean, when I'm finding the hot spots, as it were, energetically wise, when I'm out there, because this is where I feel like I sound bonkers, I'm using a pendulum. Now, obviously, when I'm walking, it's going to move.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not going, oh, look, it's moving. There's me walking around with it. Well, you know what I mean? But there's a difference. You can feel the difference. And where I place the grids will be where I've got a hit, as it were.
Okay.
But I mean, I've used pendulums for years, so I kind of know what I'm doing with them.
I started off on them.
Child.
Yeah, I did start off on pendulums. I do carry it in my kit. Everything just generally stays in my kit.
Yeah.
So I've got the dog trying to get on my knee as well.
My son's just wandering in and out. You know, don't worry about mummy doing an interview.
A bit ago when I shouted his name, he went to kiss a bird, and it's like, oh, okay.
Or eat the bird.
Well, that was the question, wasn't it? You got a bit close, and it's like, you don't usually do this, mate.
Kerry, I'm sorry, I'm so rude. I mean, I know I'm 20 minutes in the show and I've not even asked you. What's the name of your radio show? Sorry, Kerry, I do apologise.
It's called the Paranormal Concept Show. It's on the Paranormal UK Radio Network, which has a plethora of other shows on there as well. But the only one you really want to listen to is obviously my one with Paul Rook and Richard Clements, called the Paranormal Concept. It's a 2-hour show. You can download it, you can listen to it on demand, or it's an on-demand show. To be fair, we don't do live now. We used to, but we don't now. And we cover all sorts. We cover folklore, history, paranormal, interview people. We take a topic, and we've talked about the Green Man. We've talked about Orson Welles recently, and you'll be surprised that the links. You'll be surprised at the connections that come through when you do researching with a paranormal angle to it. It's absolutely fascinating. I love the whole. I do apologise for my son. He's now eating up his dinner.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I can see it right now. Jacqueline will be invited. Lois is kicked out the building. She's not even in the building.
I've been on, but I had an issue with this. He's trying to get on my knee now.
Oh, dog was barking. I've got an issue with my children tonight, not listening to the fact that I'm doing an interview. Stay in your rooms.
No, I was on a show and he started snoring. I thought, it's not very good. It's not a good sound. So I tapped him. He didn't do anything. I tapped him again and he wasn't very happy about it.
They're used to it.
I didn't swear.
No, I did.
Yeah, my finger.
I'm going to leave that down.
I thought, have I got a finger left? But yeah.
But it's so you can utilize them in so many different ways. And so the show, we cover, as I say, so many different areas of the paranormal field, because I just find the whole thing fascinating. You know what I mean? Every area we've looked at, even UFO and crypto and the psychology and all sorts of weird and wonderful avenues. So go check the show out, guys. We've got a link.
I will put a link to your page anyway on all the. It's gone out onto 3 places, so.
Oh, thank you.
I will put it in the header now. We usually have a chat, and then I'll put the links in the header, so people can watch, and then afterwards, when I get round to it, after the show later, then I'll put all the links in. But
beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. And as I say, I do that with Paul Rook and Richard Clements, the 3 of us.
It's brilliant. Yeah.
It's quite a nice blend.
I really enjoyed it because you do sort of ask different questions. I do like it. And it is a discussion as well, isn't it? I like that.
Yeah. There was a point in firing questions. It's a discussion. You want to dig deeper, and you can't dig deeper unless you discuss things. Yeah. And that's so kind of always been my style. Try and
Yeah.
dig deeper.
And everyone's got opinions.
Yeah, it's great to know them
Less
as well.
boring. Yeah.
Yeah.
We like to have opinions, don't we?
Oh yeah.
We're all entitled to them.
Oh, definitely.
Whether they're right or not is a different matter.
And the thing is, apart from the obvious things, then yeah, we don't know, do we? We just have to go by what we think, and then, you know, if we do realise, then yeah, we'll hold our hands up and say, yeah, I used to think this, but now it's this, and
Exactly. I used to think orbs were real manifestations of spirit, and now I don't think that.
I'm writing a book, and you know, I do a chapter. That's what got me into it. You know, the fact that a TV camera used to capture a ghost in these places I didn't even realise was haunted.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, everywhere seems to be haunted because there's spirits, whether it's your spirits or from the land or wherever. And yeah, so
I have to say, I think the funniest thing I saw was Derek Akora. I can't remember where they were, but he was saying that the rabbits outside were the spirits of the people that had lived there. And I remember at the time looking at, I think at that point, I kind of went, that was like a step too far for me. And I kind of was like looking at the telly going, what did he just say? And I can't remember what location it was to dig out that episode. And you can't deny the Mary Loves Dick episode.
that is
just
a classic.
gold.
I love it.
Comedy gold.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, yeah. I didn't actually say it live, but then someone mentioned it, and yeah, if you
You've
just
got to
want to
hunt
laugh,
that clip out, guys, if you've not seen that.
yeah, if you're having a bad night, just watch Mary Loves Dick. It's
That's the one. That's definitely that's the one.
But yeah, it was a bet, wasn't it? Apparently,
It was what?
it was a bet for a tenner
Was it?
to do the whole Mary Loves Dick. Don't
No!
quote me on that bit,
Oh,
but
don't
yeah.
ruin it. Don't ruin it for me. Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Here we go, Gary Fields. Keep it clean, ladies.
I remember Yvette Fielding getting stuck in the mud as well on a live. They were out on some mud flats or so. She got stuck in the mud. They had to cut to the studio while they dragged her out. No, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
It was
brilliant
classic because
series.
he didn't just say it once, did he?
Oh,
you
he
know,
went on and
just-
on.
He
and
carried on with this conversation about Mary and Dick, and it's like
Mary loves
and
Dick.
they just asked. Yvette was just asking him, "Yeah, I was the American. Oh yeah, I loves Dick," and they just carried on. Oh, it's class. Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
saying
brilliant.
nothing. We've had F-bombs and Mary loves Dick.
Here we go. It was a search.
Oh, that was the search of Matthew Hopkins in Manningtree. Yes, yes, where she got stuck in the mud.
Were you there then, Wayne?
Oh dear.
Yeah.
No, but that's kind of what it's like. You go out, investigate, and see. Funny things happen, don't they? Silly things happen.
I'm
Yep.
really surprised I've never fell down anything yet.
Yeah.
Because the stairs are always dodgy, even in paid locations.
God, yeah.
You know, you go to these paid locations and then you get dodgy floorboards. I know somebody's actually put the foot through the floorboard before locally, but yeah. Ah,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's been
Oh.
good time, and that's the point, isn't it? You're out with your friends, doing something you love that you've got a passion for. You're learning, you're having fun, and that, as long as you're evolving and changing and challenging your views, and you're having fun whilst you're doing it, then that, at the end of the day, is what it's all about.
Oh,
That's
bless
the
you.
bird in the background.
Yeah. It's going for it again. But it's been a brilliant show. I want to thank you so much.
It's been really good. Thanks so
That's
much,
better.
Kerry.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me on.
But it's been absolutely awesome. And yeah, good luck with your crystals.
Thank
Good
you.
luck with the show. Who's your next guest?
Well, we do topics more than that. We're on
Yeah.
treasure hunts at the moment. We're looking at treasure hunts.
Ooh.
So we did a show this week. This week's one we looked at Forest Fen, and what was the other one we looked at? We looked at Forest Fen, and there was another one as well. Chateau Lorenz, Le Chateau, even.
Wow.
Those two treasure hunts, and then next week we're going with part 2 of treasure hunts. The mystery of a treasure hunt. Go check that out because that is fascinating. One's modern day treasure hunt and one's an old treasure hunt.
Well,
next week will be a little bit more on treasure hunts. So we're down that rabbit hole at the moment.
Oh, that's brilliant. But what I do is put a link on all the 3 places so you can find Kerry and you can check up on the old shows as well.
So that means now, Kerry. That means now, Kerry, I get to stalk you.
Yes. Please feel free to stalk me. I don't mind a stalker or 2. I might regret I ever said that.
No. Bless you. Okay then. So thank you so much. Thanks everyone who's watched. Thanks for all your comments. Stay safe, everyone. We're in a half an hour. We're going to be doing another broadcast about Ted Bundy because it's the 33rd anniversary of his execution. That's actually going to be on the Things Network, and we're with Rosie Page, and we've got Robert Raihe, who has actually spoke to Ted Bundy as well. He interviewed him in Florida. So, okay, so yeah, half an hour, and we're back again on Things Network. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much, guys. Goodbye. Stay safe.
Bye, everyone.